Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser, and I'm here with my co-host, Amy Lane. Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's jump into it. I feel like you always find me funny on the intro.
What do you mean? I find you humorous?
Yeah. I noticed there was a little giggle there.
Yeah, I think it's just when you're going from a dead stop to just that. It's just something comical about it.
Just like, okay, let's do this. How's it going? Living that quarantine life.
It's so funny because people keep saying to me, like, how are you? And I'm just like... I am me. I am here.
I'm here. Yeah.
Doing things.
I'm in this place.
Doing stuff, you know?
Or are you? Yeah, you're doing things.
I'm doing all the things. You know, just to put it on the record, I'm not spending any more time with my children than I've ever spent with them.
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's just in different setting, really.
But, you know, it's... That part of it is... You know, I feel bad for, like, our oldest daughter that likes her life and her routine, but, you know, that guilt is heavy and makes things hard, and she's having a hard time with not going to school and not seeing her friends and not going to playgrounds. And, you know, as a family, before this happened, we were ready to move into a bigger space, and we decided we wanted a yard and we wanted to be in a, you know... So, you know, a lot of things are amplified that way. But, like, the actual being stuck with my family in our personal space doesn't bother me.
No. Fortunately, we like each other.
Well, most of the time.
Yeah.
True told me the other day, in, like, 10 minutes span, she told me she didn't like me, and then she told me I was the best mom in the world.
Oh.
I was like, yeah.
The highs and lows. Yeah. It's been, it's really difficult for me to talk about. I did an interview for the radio 3 weeks ago where we were speaking about, I was speaking about the new clinic, and I was supposed to talk about all the hard things. And I find it really difficult to talk about the hard things when I know there are people who are going through much worse.
Yeah.
Even though,
but I think it's also multifaceted with us. So what I was trying to say is, like, the being stuck at home stuff is nothing to me.
Yeah, right.
The us working towards a goal of having a clinic for the last 10 years and doing all the right steps and doing the level, like, I could cry just right now thinking about, like, the level of sacrifices individually and as a couple we've made in the last decade to make this one thing happen, and then just to have such timing.
Yeah.
It's gut-wrenching.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's scary, and it's, you know, aside from all that, it's like I said, we had outgrown our home anyway, and, you know, we had a goal that we were going to, like, you know, sacrifice a few more months and just work super hard, and then we were going to move on. But, you know, this whole thing it's devastating. But with talking about it, I think it's a three-pronged thing. I think you and I tend to be... I like to think we're highly empathetic individuals. And also, you know, we have loved ones that have compromised immune systems. So the first thing we go with is we think about them and how we're going to protect them. And, you know, in the beginning of all this, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but my sister was just going through the end of treatment for cancer, and she had to cross province to get treatment done. And, you know, those last couple of weeks, I don't think I was breathing. I was just holding my breath every single day. I just wanted her home.
Yeah.
You know. So it's hard to then talk about, like, how scared we are and how horrible this is and all those things when, like, I couldn't breathe for 2 weeks.
That's what I was getting at. I know.
You know, there's that. And then there's obviously, people actually by themselves passing away and family members in the hospital and you can't go see them. And, like, it's all devastating. It's horrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then also you and I are not comfortable being in a position where we need help.
Right.
We've both been self-sufficient since we were 17 years old. And before that, really. Mm-hmm. And it's very uncomfortable to be in a position where we even have to tell friends or family that, like, this is very scary for us. And this is within a matter of like a day. This dramatically changed our life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's hard to then like just switch into people that are like easily talk about what's hard and what's scary and whatever. And the other thing is, like, we're parents, and like both of us have gone into being parents that, like, you know, for lack of a better term, again, there's a sacrifice. You're not the focus anymore. Like, the show goes on. Mm-hmm. The show goes on. And that's your choice of becoming a parent. And like, I'm not saying you have to become a martyr, but for us, it's our focus and our journey is different. We're paving a way for people to have a better future and hopefully an easier time than we had and all the things. So it's hard for us to then go into the mode of like, when given the opportunity, which we were given the opportunity to talk about like how this is just crazy and how quickly it affected us and like just the luck of timing, you know. It's really hard.
It is. My gosh. I thought it was going to take me an hour to pull that out of you. But you had it lock and loaded.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it all the time.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's why I was sad that I couldn't go to the radio too.
Yeah, multifaceted.
Because I wasn't able to go. Obviously, you can't have childcare right now.
No, and you were. I mean, you're the person to tell the story. This is the thing. I mean, I was trying to, in preparing for this podcast, I was thinking, okay, how are we going to frame the last 6 weeks? Mm-hmm. But you did it beautifully. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, everyone here, we're staying home. Mm-hmm. For the most part, the girls haven't been around anyone else. So it's really hard because also to talk about this just you because cross province, cross country, everybody has different rules. Like, yeah. I have a girlfriend in Taiwan and things are different there. My family, I have my sister and her family in Nova Scotia and it's different there. They're at stay home. They're at a stay home order. Right. And just to talk about the differences there, because like I've heard people complain about certain things and, you know, like the Nova Scotians, the rural Nova Scotians are sending like photos of like the Vancouver beaches and saying, this is insane and how could you guys be so irresponsible? But like, just to tell the difference, like Nova Scotia is a rural, majority rural, even the city, really. Everybody has a house, everybody has a yard. Right. Everybody has space. In Vancouver, we're densely populated. We're stacked on top of each other. So for mental health, we have to physically get outside. And those spaces are going to have other humans doing the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So our beaches and a lot of our public outdoor spaces are still open. Not parks as in things the kids can climb on, but like fields, basically. And we have people patrolling them with pool noodles.
No, it's
and
like
hockey sticks.
It's the most Vancouver thing. They have pool noodles. They're wearing green vests and they have pool noodles.
And it's highly effective.
And also what I've really enjoyed, honestly, it makes it light. Yeah. The kids have enjoyed it because like a guy like will be like trying to bike near one of those guys and he'll stick his pool noodles to the side and like to show him like stay 6 feet. And like the kids. Time. But like it's been super heavy. Like our oldest daughter has a lot of questions, and like there's some anxiety's been coming up, and it's from just living on a busy city block, and she can see out on the street what's going on.
Yeah, where is everyone?
Where is everyone? Why is all of a sudden one day no one wore masks? Right. You know, a few people we knew, and now everybody we know wears gloves and masks. Dad wears a gloves and mask when he goes to work. You know, you're not letting me touch anything. I'm not letting her touch anything. Yeah. You know, she's a very intelligent child. Oh yeah, she is on alert, talking about cold season every time she's outside. And she keeps saying, like, apologizing to people. Like, she'll open the window and yell to our neighbors when they're walking by. This is her socialization. She'll yell things like, I know it's still cold season, but I just want to say hi. Like, and we've never said anything. That's so sweet. That, you know, affect her. But, you know, we also live, you know, this thing is, like, bigger. You know, like my sister, like they have their issues and they're stuck home, but they have their yard and their things they can do. Right. But also living in the city and we live on a busy street, I'm physically seeing the changes all the time and the things that are happening. And I've found that really hard. Like I wish I was more in like I'm off the, you know, like every night we're having major things go on outside our condo.
Oh, the mental illness issues are major.
Like crazy. Like we have just a ton of video. Like it's scary. You know, we've had some scary things happen. Like we've had, while I was in the truck with the girls, like someone like casing our truck, looking in our back windows, and then realizing that like there's babies and a woman in there. Like, you know, there's been a lot of things happen that way, and
a lot of screaming at people outside, a lot of throwing of mailboxes, and
there were the other day at 4 p.m. a guy, and it was actually a day where there was a lot of traffic. A guy was physically taking the metal mailboxes and throwing them into oncoming traffic. Like, and my girls are standing there watching. I can't take them away from that. Like, you know, it's just very different than it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so evident, and even you can even notice swings like from day to day.
Us with the traffic.
Us with the traffic. Well, yeah, we live on a busy street. Easter, the ramifications from Easter a couple weeks later.
It was crazy because it was creepily quiet, and then all of a sudden Easter came, and David and I were just looking at each other. Just the traffic.
Yeah.
Like it was just like that was creepy. But I mean, I don't know the answers.
No, and then we have spiking cases coming afterwards, and it's like, oh, jeez.
You know, I don't know. And like, that's a whole discussion. I feel like I'm around a lot of people that don't believe this is very serious, and they believe that the reaction was an overreaction. The damage of the economy is far greater than the damage health-wise. And, you know, they think that tomorrow the lights are going to come back on and we're all going to be going back to the way things were. And like, I'd like to believe that was true.
Yeah, I speak to a lot of people who think that too. And I totally get it, because it's so easy. Every single day when it's, you know, it seems like there's more people around, everyone's vibe kind of increases. We have less cases the day before. I feel like things are lighter. I get it. It's like really easy to think that this is not a big deal, you know, whatever. When you're isolated, when you're just with your people, this doesn't affect us at all. Look, we're all healthy. We're all fine. It's okay. Even my friends and family are okay.
The other thing is,
it's really
like,
tough.
and that's the other thing.
Just stay focused.
Like, the other factor is, like, thankfully, you know, the majority of people that we know, whatever, no one's been health affected. But, you know, a lot of the people that I know haven't been financially impacted either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, you know, right away, this was devastating for us. And in our circumstances, it just couldn't have been worse timing. And I think that I grieved it pretty early on. And I think everyone thought, like, why is she reacting so strongly? Like, I feel like I had a couple friends that were like, you know, this feels like an overreaction, which I didn't know I'd have to spell out how devastating this is for a family, but I guess you do. I don't know. Like, I feel like everyone has to be a little more compassionate to everybody.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
I agree. I'm trying to walk that line of counseling people about where the compassion lies. Like, where do you implement your compassion? And at the same time saying, okay, like, this is a time of self-care. Like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to be thinking about your own well-being. You know, but in thinking about your own well-being, you have only one responsibility: protect these groups of people. Yeah. They're vulnerable. There's nothing we can do. Maybe we can think about prevention in the future if there's going to be another round of this at some time. Okay, we can fix some of these things, but for now, we have to support them, and that's all we have to do.
I'm just very uncomfortable with the notion that anybody thinks that they could play God that way. Like, and I don't mean like a man in the sky. I'm using it like as a term. As in, like, okay, let's just all go back to the way things are, and then, like, okay, just this population is terribly, gravely affected, and, you know, they're pretty close to death anyway, so let's just all get on with it. Like, that really disturbs me that, like, I've talked to some pretty level-headed, normal people that have said that to me.
Oh, yeah.
And it freaks me out.
I get it. Well, you think about regulators, like we think about maybe like a small country like Italy, like apparently there was significant, because of financial issues, they had significant cuts to their medical system. And then who knew a pandemic was coming, but there should be a certain number of resources around in case something like this happens, even if it's a really bad year for something that we know happens all the time.
Anything, but I don't understand how there couldn't be any type of preparation. Like, you know, we do live in a time where, like, we all have armies, we all have navies, we all have, you know, like, you know, we prepare for a lot of things.
They very quickly got to a place where they had to decide who lived and died.
Yeah, it's just...
And so we're trying to decide, are we going to protect the populations or not by staying home for a few months? They had to decide, like, within a few days, are we gonna save this person or that person? That's great. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate on that front, but we have to stay focused.
Separate podcast on like the intricacies of this.
I know. I don't want to bore people, but I
don't want to bore people either, but like I just want to talk about, because I've still had people talk to me and say to me in the last week that this is the same as the flu. And I just feel like numbers wise, we just need to like discuss that this is not the same.
Well, I have a 30-second snippet for that because I get asked about this all the time. On average in Canada, 500 to 1,500 people die every year of the flu. So 500 to 1,500 people die every year of the flu. We have been in lockdown for 5 weeks, and 2,500 Canadians have died of this one.
Plus, this is just a thing since November.
Just a thing since November, but it's only been in Canada for 5 weeks. I mean, this is like, it's only been enough cases that we can start even measuring.
Okay, so there's that aspect.
It's at least 10 times more deadly than the flu. That's well documented.
So what disturbs me for moving forward is obviously the people that are dismissive of this and don't think it's, but also, we don't know about immunity yet. Mm-hmm. There is some controversy there.
We do not know. We know that in some places they've been retesting people, and some people have gotten it twice. And in the antibody testing to see who is immune, super weird. Because they just tested so many people in New York
that had it,
and apparently, 20% of the population had it. So the asymptomatic carriers, people with no infection or no symptoms, carrying it around, sky high, probably protected now because they had antibodies.
But we don't know that.
But then a smaller study in a different city, they tested a bunch of people who they knew had it. They tested them after to see if they were immune. No antibodies.
Yeah,
what the heck? Immune system didn't recognize it.
So the other conversation is, and I don't know really what I'm talking about, but also the conversation that there could be more than one strain of this.
Yeah,
that there was kind of the West Coast strain and the European East Coast strain.
This is why
that's why the difference in death tolls.
This is why it's really good for people to hear you speak about it, because you come from a very rational place. You're very much like, okay, all I'm going to do day-to-day basis here is protect my family and do everything I can to participate in the public good. Here's what's important. Oh, wait a minute. There's a few different strains of this.
Yeah.
Certain populations are impacted. Let's stay the heck away from them. And there are a few different strains. There are.
And that's why we're seeing difference in numbers, aside from obviously difference in, how people physically live in cities stacked on top of each other versus more spread out, blah, blah, blah.
100%. But also probably, and I say probably because we don't really know, but the way that it affects the person. And so in certain places, people have been getting kidney failure.
Yeah. And this is the thing I wanted to touch on, as far as my children.
Right.
I mean, I've never been the type of person that is I get really annoyed when people bring sick children to things.
Yeah.
Where I have a lot of other people in my life that are totally chill. Get the antibodies, move on, whatever. I don't believe in virally loading our children is a healthy thing. To an extreme degree that happens at these play centers when people just keep bringing sick kids when they know because they're bored and don't want to stay home for the day. It really bothers me. It's a pet peeve, and it always has been.
Yeah.
But the thing with this that scares me is that I watched my nephews didn't have any real health problems until they were 4 or 5, and one of them developed one Christmas asthma. We just don't know with these tiny people what their things are yet.
Exactly.
And I just don't feel like we should just be let's all just see what happened. We are the case study. And I just feel like we don't know enough. It's not going to be until we're a few years out from this that we actually know what's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the honest to God truth.
Yes.
And I feel like people aren't rationally thinking that.
Oh, no, for sure. Well, even think back and compare it to historically what humans did.
This is what I'm saying. Okay, that's what I always do.
There's a book. The book was the book about playing in the dirt and how good that is for your immune system. Totally true. What's not good, maybe not good anyways, living in a city and being around a different bug every single day.
Every single day.
And some of them are super serious.
Not just in a city. Going to a play center and these people purposely take their kids there because they're bored.
We can get hot about
Like,
this.
I get so mad because the moms are bored for a day. Just stay home.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah,
Plus,
no,
like,
I'm
you
with
don't
you.
know who else is in other people's families. I just, like, have some compassion.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't know about family spread, but okay.
Anyway.
But it also brings up a really good point about COVID for sure. Really good point about COVID is that there's probably a viral load impact,
And that
a
freaks
negative
me
viral
out,
load
too.
impact. So with these young healthcare workers passing away, who like,
we not gonna
they
look at
have-
that?
They
Where
have
they
like the
had
best. Some of the healthiest people, the healthiest people who have passed from this have been healthcare workers.
So that leads me to
It's
believe
gotta be
viral
that
load.
they were just exposed to so much of
So
it.
that freaks me out. So anyway, I just feel like we just don't know enough. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So, you know, and the person that had the analogy, whoever it was, I don't know if it was Sam Harris or who, one of these guys,
Sam Harris, I think you probably
with
talking about.
the bag of Skittles.
Yes.
And like you have a bag of Skittles and like 2 are deadly, poisonous. But like the majority of Skittles are good.
Yeah, the other 98 Skittles are fine.
You're still not gonna eat the bag of
No, you
Skittles.
stay away
Like
from that bag.
you're not gonna eat it.
2 poison Skittles in there.
You're just not gonna do it.
Yeah.
So that's
So
just
you don't flirt with this one. I really don't think you do. And you know,
and
it
I
all.
hope the other thing is I hope I'm wrong.
Oh, totally.
Pray to God I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I hope that, like, you know, we get 2 years out from this and we're like, you know what? You know, the majority of the people in the population had it. You know, showed no symptoms. So, yeah, okay, the death numbers are way down. We just acutely were hit by this thing and we had to spread it out so that we didn't overload the healthcare systems.
Yes.
I hope that that's all this is.
Well, let's just do a little, really quick review of why we're still isolating. The case fatality rates, the number of people who pass away, compared with the number of people who test positive totally, it's probably somewhere between 0.3% and 0.6%. So less than 1% of people die from this on average, from what we know, like across thousands and thousands of tests. Even the asymptomatic people who don't have any symptoms. For the flu, it's like less than 0.1%. So it's on average, it's like at least 10 times more deadly than the flu. Okay, fine. But then you have to look at what I posted on Instagram on this week, whatever, I don't know, it was yesterday or the day before. You take that 0.3 to 0.6%. That's the average across everybody. But now you have to look at the groups, okay? For less than 19-year-olds, it's like 1 person has passed away in the whole world. So it's like 0. And then from 19 to 55, it's like less than 1% or 1 to 3%, super low. Maybe even I think this is Johns Hopkins. I think they reported 1 to 3% for the group, for the young people, up to 55 or 54 or something. Over 54, from 54 to 65, it climbs up to like 5%. 65 to 85 climbs again. But what's really important is above 85 years old, anywhere from 10% to 27% deadly. So you have, in the most conservative case, you have an old folks home that gets an outbreak and 10 people get it, 1 of them is going to pass away. And so we have old folks homes with 100 people, 150 people. And so that's why we're seeing all of a sudden we get a report from one from Quebec, one from Ontario, one from the prairies. And it's like this place. They're reporting 50 deaths this week. What? 50 deaths? That's crazy. And so you think about our families and how 90% of our families are less than 85. It's just like, doesn't really impact us too much.
Do you think we're going to relook at maybe, you know, putting our elderly people in these homes? Maybe.
Well, this is a big wake-up call.
Yeah.
It's a big wake-up call.
I mean, in our culture, yeah. Like it's,
To put all the immunocompromised people in one place?
Yeah.
It's, anyway.
So
yeah.
moving forward, I mean, what we've decided for the world.
Yes.
We've been consulted. Is, you know, to move forward, obviously we're going to have to go slow and space things out, but we're going to have to keep, you know, restrictions in for the immunocompromised and the older people and those that work with them and that they're exposed to. So hopefully this quick testing,
Oh, yeah.
you know, for the workers that go in and out of these old folks' homes.
it really comes down to to two things. We have to learn about immunity. So are we going to be, like today there was a message.
Are we going to be, yeah.
Today, Dr. Lam, our Canadian person in charge, she is our top MD. She's uncertain about herd immunity and doesn't think it's the right way to go because we're not sure if it's going to work. And so if there is herd immunity, eventually we're all going to be immune. Fine. Hopefully that happens soon. But the more likely state is that we're going to have rapid antibody testing that's going to be effective. And so we're going to be able to see you in a 5-minute blood test, just a finger prick, just one drop of blood, if someone has antibodies that protects them. And so hopefully we have that, and it's rapidly available and easy to implement, and we're going to have to talking about deploying multiple health professions.
I feel like we need to do a whole nother podcast on like the numbers, the like hearsay about this, the ins and outs, like, there's a lot of fear around like the vaccine. We spent a lot of time reading the Bill Gates comments. Oh my god. The Bill Gates, like, just if you even want to know what we're talking about, just go on Bill Gates' Instagram, and just where he's thanking the healthcare workers with a piece of paper, a photo of him. Just what the comment section, just go into the comment section, and you'll see where a lot of people. That being said, like, I'm not going to go into this right now. I don't want to go into this, but like, I'm not anti-vaccine, but also like the way that this is going, like, I don't know if it's just fear mongering or if it's like, I don't know. I'm completely uncomfortable with it. Oh yeah, no, I totally understand. I completely get the concern. And so after reading talking about like a passport, like a chip, like a immunization passport, whatever. Well, yeah. So there's a lot of things to say. I don't really want to go into this right now. That's okay, but the brat in me is like, well, do you want the old people to live? This is the thing that we have to be concerned. So after you read the Bill Gates comments, you have to then, if you're going to do that, you also have to read the history of coronavirus. And you have to read the history of what the Gates Foundation has done for curing infectious disease across the world. Right, but to the note of like where they're coming from, my debate back to you would be like, but then look what has gone on with like the HPV vaccine. Yes. Right. So I think that's like, people are nervous, people are scared. Definitely. People don't want to feel forced into something, and people don't want to feel like, this is a move to control humanity, basically. Yes, right. Like, because it's undeniable that in the history of the world, in times of fear, is when, say big pharma, the government, whoever, move in to control humans. Definitely. Because it's the best time. They've already said here that there'll be no forced vaccines, and it'll be personal choice, and that makes total sense. So enough people will do it that there'll be enough immunity. When do you even think that will be available? They're saying 18 months, but I mean, it's been 30 years and we're still waiting on the HIV one. So it could be extremely long, but it also could be relatively quick. The UK has a trial, Germany has a trial, France I think has a trial, Canada has a trial now, funded for $1 billion. And the States have trials, so we'll see how quickly that's done. But the thing with HPV is like, you have to test it on humans. And what is the setting for vaccine testing on humans? I don't want to go into this. We'll have to do a whole nother podcast because you and I walk we come together, but we have, it's not different views, but let's say different concerns, because I come from the world of, different concerns. But I think very fact and evidence based, and that's why this works out. Well, when it comes to vaccines, there's only one comment that isn't really made all the time, that isn't made really at all. It's that you don't want to get a vaccine when you're not feeling well. You don't want to get a vaccine when you're sick. You don't want to get a vaccine when you've had maybe even a bad day. Like, we have canceled kids' vaccines. We've postponed kids' vaccines. Because they had a sniffle. Because they've had just a sniffle. And that's actually really, really important. Well, I don't care what anyone thinks of it. Like, that's the thing. I remember, like, we would call and, like, they'd be like, this is ridiculous. It's okay, yeah. And I'd be like, no. But that's my red flag. That's my thing. Yeah. But, like, it's like you can't even talk about that nowadays. Someone will call you an anti-vaxxer. Yeah. It's like we decided to space out the vaccines that we did and in a way that we felt comfortable. And every time I felt judgment.
Yeah.
And like, I felt like they were treating me like I'm an anti-vaxxer, which if I was, the way to deal with an anti-vaxxer is with compassion, not with contempt.
Totally.
The only
There's
way
so many,
to like,
yeah.
like, it's just insane to me. But anyway, I mean, like, you're just not, it's not black or white.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And like, you have to be compassionate, because if people have fear or concerns based on things that have happened, you know, that people they know, or
Yeah.
reality, or just what feels intrinsically right to them, I just feel like the healthcare system, they need to take a different approach.
Well, they do, and I think that's where naturopaths, naturopathic doctors come in handy.
Especially being able to give vaccines now.
Yes, exactly. I'm halfway through the course for providing vaccines in this province, and it looks like we're going to be called upon to participate in this program. And so, really, the reason I say that is because you want the naturopathic physician to be giving you the education on the vaccine and the history of the vaccine,
and
to make the informed
to
choice.
ask questions, and like not to push something on someone.
Totally.
And I just remember that we have a family history of someone that is sensitive or allergic to one of the preservatives in a vaccine. So there was 2 of these vaccines from 2 different companies that is the same thing, but the preservative is different. David and I asked this nurse or physician.
Yeah, nurse.
We asked her, just could we read the box to see which one it is, because we wanted to, you know, whatever. And she was so mad. And I thought, now that's a reaction that would, if I was on the fence,
We'll just walk right out.
you'd walk out.
Yeah.
If you were like,
That's not the
way. When someone is, because what it comes down to, like, if people are anti-vax, it's because they're scared for their children.
Totally. That's
And
the
how can
only
you
reason
not
to
have
be.
compassion for that? If you've given birth to a child, how can you not have compassion for fear?
Oh yeah.
Like, for wanting the best for your child. Like, I can't,
Oh, and
rational or irrational, how can you not have the compassion?
I'm with you, and I'm such a sap about it too. I can't even stand it. All the dads, really. If you look around the dads, they're like almost vomiting, sick to their stomach, just seeing their children getting jabbed with a needle. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, and it's always like I always.
It's just the moms in there.
Well, yeah, because it's just it's hard, right? But you know you're doing the right. It's just anyway. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. I wanted to pivot into something
Sorry,
different about all this.
What's that?
Well, you know, I feel like a lot of people, like, I just wanted to touch on, I feel like a lot of people feel like how this has affected everyone, you know, that aren't working, and or like whatever, and just a couple things, like how this has affected us, because I don't know how much you went into it, like, because everyone's like, oh, the government stuff must be great for you guys. Like, I've had that comment a lot. And the reality is, you know, it all sounds amazing. It's all very, you know, I don't want to sound ungrateful. Like, nobody owes me anything. But I have been a taxpayer since I was 15 years old. And the reality is, like, you know, for us, because we didn't have that business before March 1st, we are disqualified for everything because we're all subcontractors. You know, aside from the secretaries, it's not payroll. That disqualifies you for everything. You know, like, it all sounds great. You know, even people I've talked to about, like, different programs that would work for that. Like, it's just, you know, it's just really messed up. There's nobody's coming in to save anybody. Like, it's
Nobody's
very scary.
coming in. Yeah.
And, you know, like, it's just really messed up. Like, you know, this is something we've researched for years and made sure was something that was, like, steady and wonderful and, like, going in an amazing direction. And this was a time for liftoff for us. And it literally pivoted the other way to just, like, nothing.
Yeah.
And now we just have to, like, do everything we can to float this, to get through this.
Oh yeah, but also
Like,
there's a significant opportunity for us to thrive. Like, what she's talking about is we have an integrative medicine clinic, and we launched April 1st. We had purchased the clinic 6 months prior, and the contract was set, and we had to take over right in the middle of this.
And that's the other thing. Like, I just want to say, like, you know, people keep saying about, like, you know, there's all these, like, hero things. Like, we rent the space that the clinic is in, and, you know, we didn't even ask the landlord for a break in our rent, because I understand that they're dependent on income, but we asked him to, you know, defer, not cash, our safety deposit, our damage deposit, until June, just so we could get some bearings. And he was just straight up like, no.
You got the big NO.
Like, and I mean, that's not even income he's dependent on. Like, that really bothered me. You know, the people that, you know, we took over from, like, it's not like nobody cares.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
Like, nobody cared.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody's coming in. Like, you know, it's devastating. We had all the paperwork done, everything to have our banking set up. And we were, you know, to have money that isn't our personal money so that we can, you know, have our supplements and get the floors done and get painted and all the things, and everything was in and ready to go. And then this hit, and they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, you guys are now not getting any money.
Yeah.
Like, and we have a family to feed. Now it's not even like, okay, the floors are done. We can't paint. We can't get our floors done. We can't make it look the way we want to, that we've dreamed forever. That was like fine last week. Like, now we have to feed our kids. Like, what is happening?
Yeah,
you know, like it's just.
Well, but here's the opportunity: integrative medicine.
You don't have to talk this. I totally yeah.
Well, this is the thing: wide adoption of telemedicine is taking place in Canada already on the family doc side. What we're able to provide at our clinic through phone and video, secure video consults, really is basically a free service if you have extended medical, because now we're direct billing to every company. We have one more left that hasn't been in yet. It's been 20 days and it's still not available, but every other company is ready.
That's the other thing I just want to say. All the little stuff that usually takes like no time has taken us like days. Just switching our phone over took like 3 days. Like, just the silly, like it's just like, it's been maddening.
So what we're doing, spending our time really, is like doing consults with people over the phone and over video to support them in their chronic disease prevention and severity reduction. Because really the comorbidities, the places where people get in trouble is not just being elderly. Although we have a lot of elderly patients who we have awesome time supporting, and hopefully they can widely adopt telemedicine soon. But it's the reduction in obesity. It's the reduction in high blood pressure.
That's my passion.
Absolutely. High blood pressure, blood sugar regulation. When these things are optimized, you know, we're not supposed to speak about the prevention of COVID because we really don't know. But what we do know is that the comorbidities make the disease a lot worse.
Yes.
So we're spending our days, you know, we were at about 20%, but now we're about 30 to 40% of prior visits. We're spending our days like, okay, now's the time to get ahead. This was a warning for us. You know what I mean? This thing came in. It's not terrible for most people, but it's super bad for some. The next one could be worse. The next version of this strain, like if it is like the flu, if it's different every year, like if the wave that we get in September, there will be another wave. I don't know if it'll be September, but there's going to be, I hope everyone's ready. There will be another hit. And so buckle in, get your mental state right.
The other thing is your immune system. Like, I'm allowed to say that. And by immune system, I mean everything. I don't mean just like popping vitamin C. Yeah, I take vitamin C every day. But that's aside, like, I'm talking about getting on a proper eating plan, exercising, taking care of your mental health, optimizing all your stuff. Get to a healthy place. Get your immune system right, no matter what. I think everybody, like, it should be like a very serious job for everybody right now.
Definitely.
But I mean, a lot of people too are just like home, like the people that aren't affected, like, you know, younger people, like, they are affected, they don't realize it yet, but, you know, they still like are working from home, they don't have kids, they're younger. Like, a lot of people I know in the younger generation, like, they're really working on like getting fit.
Definitely.
Making sure their hormones are intact. Like, and in that, it's been awesome because we've launched Sunday service through Noble Naturopathic, our clinic. And we've been dropping off lab kits.
We're doing it.
We're dropping off supplements. If you need something on Sundays and you live in Vancouver, we're contactless drop off. I just want to say that was my idea.
It's an awesome idea. Because I love it.
On Sundays, David and I like to have coffee drives anyway because we will let Ever nap in the truck. And True's been really great about the time with us in the truck. And we just drive around. And I was like, why can't we drop off kits to people that want them?
Oh, it's
that you're doing
so
these
great.
with? And it's like, why don't we do that?
People love it too.
Well, it's so nice. It's personal. It's, you know, it's from us. You're getting your supplement you always take anyway. You get to take, like, I love it when you bring me home, like, a lab I can do. I love that.
It's so great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I've got some good ones. So it was a big week for us because we got a lot of resources in that we think are really helpful for people. Like when we think about what the province is recommending, it's totally logical. It makes perfect sense. And now is the time to widely adopt. Sleep well. Yeah. Eat well. Exercise.
And this is all immune system. I feel like people don't understand this is the immune system. Like,
sleep well, eat well, exercise, and keep your stress low. That's how you optimize the immune system. Now, what we're doing is we're taking the data from studies that are actually being done in the US and some that have come from China, and then physiologic data around vitamins and herbs and minerals. We're saying, okay, this stuff that you were doing for the immune system prior, which probably helpful every year, might not be safe in this one. So you have to stop those.
Yeah, there's a couple that it was just kind of shocking that like you should not be taking those right now.
Yes, and so it's purely based on mechanism of action and how this virus is a little bit different. And then we have a list of things like, okay, there's this little trial, there's this little trial, there's this happening. These are perfectly safe for you to be taking and won't harm you. Potentially could give you benefit, but we don't know anything about prevention. All we know is that they're on the list, that they're safe, and there's good potential for supporting your white blood cells. But make sure, sleep, eat well, keep your stress low, and exercise, while at the same time, like, okay, listen, all those comorbidities, if you're not supporting someone or you're not in the hospital yourself, now's the time to get things right.
That's what I'm saying. Get yourself in check in a non-anxious way. Because like if you're a mom home with your kids right now, like I have a girlfriend, she is working full-time at home with her daughter. Like, I mean, I can't even do every email I've sent, every like post I've posted, everything in the last 3 weeks. It's all grammar mistakes, all spelling mistakes. My brain is scrambled. I can't think straight. Like, I don't know how she's like on Zoom meetings with, other professionals acting normal right now. Like, at least I can hide behind my typing that it's like I seem like I don't speak English as a first language right now. Like, that's how bad my typing. And it's like, whatever. Like, that's my best right now.
Yeah. So you're right. We say that, and it's like, okay.
So it's all that from a non-pressured way.
And shout out to those moms who are home. Supposed to be working, supposed to be taking care of the kids.
Oh, and also a teacher now.
Putting them through school, who also had COVID.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
It's like, okay, you need to stay home for 14 days. Oh, by the way, you need to teach.
Yeah.
You need to work.
Also, you need to work. Yeah. And recover and rest. Exercise also.
Have you ever heard of Zoom? You need to get from...
download Zoom.
In bed, can't breathe, short of breath.
I can't do...
Oh my God. So it's weird, right? Because you can't breathe.
Yeah,
it's different. It's not like the flu in that sense. Like the flu. It's like not in the first 4 days you're not like trying to gasp for air.
So there's all that and like compassionately coming at that for people. And I just want to say like, for me, like at the beginning of all this, I feel like I'm not saying I'm an ahead of the curve or more intelligent person, but I saw the way this was going right away. And I mourned it pretty quickly. And I feel like, I shared my feelings about that with people, which, I wish I didn't probably with some people because I feel like I was judged for that. But I feel like, it's hard to navigate these situations in any climate. But like with the social media climate, I've found it like very challenging because I want to tell people off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just think there's a really fine line between, like you're saying, like doing all the things and being healthy and whatever and being positive, and being just delusional and like fake and like just out of touch with the pain that the majority of people are feeling right now. I get it that some people aren't affected and their lives are going on and they're just bored.
I always think about this one example that I saw when I was watching a news story one night, which was this politician in the southern United States, and he got on the camera, and I think he was a governor, and he said, listen, basically, and I'm paraphrasing for this person, but you can put it into the context of our discussion today. It's like, if it's 27% deadly for people over 85, that's fine, because if my economy goes to zero, my people all of my people are going to suffer from all of these different things, and there's going to be mass suffering for this many years. And he's basically saying, I'm okay with cutting those people out. And that's his position, right? And it's so difficult to get into that state when you think about people who are passing away by themselves in a room. No one's allowed in, and they're suffocating.
Not only that, that's what I was going to say, they're drowning.
Unbelievable. And it's like, some people are okay with saying, I'm okay with that. Like, that's hard to put yourself in that position when he thinks he's really saying, like, I'm protecting my whole state.
Yeah, I get that. I get what he's saying. He's
Yes.
trying to cut off the dead limb is what he's saying to preserve the body.
In our society in general, this is in Canada, it's this principle is we're going to do everything possible to prevent every single death.
Yeah.
And so that's not widely accepted across the world.
No.
Nor do we expect it to be, but that's kind of, in general, I would say, if you polled the whole population, they would say, okay, we've had this many, like, everyone is unacceptable. I don't know, what do you think the percentage of population would agree with that?
I don't know. It's weird out there right now.
It's pretty weird, yeah.
But I'm not even talking about the people that are like, okay, let's just cut those people off. I'm talking about the people that are acting like this is no big deal and just an inconvenience.
Yeah, right.
And like, I just feel
it's because media outlets are saying, some outlets are saying that.
And I just feel like people like saying, like, I just was scrolling through and like people like still telling people to buy whatever lipstick they're wearing, and like other people like, we're laughing our way through this and like whatever. And I'm just like, the worry and the pain and the suffering and the damage, and not only that, the damage that is going to be done. Things are going to look very different moving forward.
They will.
Socially, economically, like just in our little neighborhood, the businesses that were institutions that are bankrupt and gone already. Like, I mean, that's real people. And that's places that people spent time, and that's like a building. And like, this is people's livelihoods and their dreams. And like, no one's laughing their way through this. And if you are, shut up and sit down. Like, have a little humanity is all I'm saying. Like, I just don't get how some people can't have compassion for where other people are coming from, and I find it really frustrating because I feel like it leads to this whole thing, and it's a bigger conversation. It's been a real pet peeve of mine for a while with the whole social media movement, especially Instagram.
Yeah.
Is like, we've become this society that if you feel a negative emotion or you look a negative situation in the eyes and call it what it is, and have any type of compassion or normal feelings towards it, you're weak. And like, we've become a society where we think we're supposed to be happy and meditating and like skipping through flowers 24 hours a day. And if you're not, especially as a woman, you're failing.
Right.
And it's insane.
It is.
And it's going to cause untold amounts of mental health and mental damage to women, especially, in my opinion. Especially these female Instagrammers that are just pushing bullshit 24 hours a day and telling people like they've got to buy this to be this and feel this and whatever, especially in this situation right now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm looking at something and I'm like, they can't be living on Earth. They can't be.
No.
They can't know anybody. They can't like anybody.
Yeah.
This can't be their reality.
Yeah.
And
then if you touch stuff out.
And then if you say anything about it, people think there's something wrong with you, that you're feeling sad and you need to fix it.
Right.
That like you should, you need to fix that sadness you're feeling. That's uncomfortable for me to even hear your sadness. Your sadness is making me feel gross. Maybe you should look at talking to someone, or maybe you should get on, an antidepressant. I just feel like that's the type of world we're living in, and it freaks me out. Like, I just think we're supposed to feel, when things are awful, we're supposed to feel awful about them. And then you go through it. And it's the strength in humanity that, like, you go through it, you work through it, you become stronger. That's what being a human is.
I'm having a really weird moment right now because I feel like I've heard you talk about this over and over the last 10, 12 years.
Because it drives me crazy.
And this setting that we're living in, this alternate reality that we have,
it's just so in my face now.
Yeah.
It's so in my face now.
It's like this really sucks. If you feel like you're acting weird, or if you feel like the stress is too much, then it's because it is.
Yeah. It is.
It is, and
this is not normal.
No, we know that your experiences shape how you are in the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes those experiences have really difficult consequences. And this is one of those experiences, unprecedented.
Unprecedented. And this is the other conversation I was in with a friend the other day that I was saying, we were talking about the mental health and everything that comes up, and I was trying to explain, and I thought everybody kind of knew this, that when you get into a fight or flight, when something terrible happens, you, without processing it, really thinking about it subconsciously, you are reminded of the last terrible thing that happened to you. Mm-hmm. And then the last terrible thing that happened to you, and the last terrible thing that happened to you. Your nervous system responds the exact same way. So this acute stress is bringing up a lot of traumas for people. Mm-hmm. And in that alone, do you not have compassion for other humans? No one's you know what I mean? It's a really horrible time for people. Yeah. So, as long as you are a mentally healthy individual, what I'm trying to say is, it's okay to feel the dark when it's dark. It's okay to say it's dark out here. Yeah. It's okay. It's insane to pretend it's a beautiful beach day when it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And it's not going to do anything healthy for anybody. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to grieve, things that, maybe you don't have terrible things going on, but you're grieving, just seeing your family,
mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
There's single people.
Yeah.
That haven't touched anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's okay.
Haven't been out.
You're allowed to grieve that. It's
single people with COVID.
Yeah, taking care of their own selves.
Their own selves. Yeah, and no way to test their oxygen saturation. Yeah. As a baby, people not able to test
how much
oxygen is blood.
And I don't want to be what I heard is, but what I've heard over and over and over from people that have had it is that at night, you're fine. Yeah. You could be fine and think, oh, okay, I'm getting over this, whatever. And then all of a sudden you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't breathe.
That's right.
Anyway, what I'm roundabout trying to say is, I think that you've been doing a lot of counseling. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really helpful. If you don't have someone to talk to, if you just want to talk things out with someone, that's really normal and healthy and wonderful. But also, if you're feeling sad, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're totally entitled to feel sad. And if you don't feel comfortable, I'm not the type of person that likes to talk to a lot of my friends about stuff. I feel like it's always come back to bite me when I have kind of opened up. Maybe past wounds coming up right there. But
maybe.
I'm a journaler.
Yeah.
So, that's a good safe space. I really find just dumping how I feel and how sad it is, and I can really go into my own self-pity if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can shut it and it's gone. It's
done. Safe space.
It's a safe space to do that, And again, the caveat is you're a mentally healthy person. If you are feeling not stable, if this is going to a dark place, which I believe that this is going to for a lot of people, mm-hmm. seek help.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And on the lighter side, because I feel like we can get I'm going to go light and then I'm going to go dark again.
I always go dark.
I have to go dark again too.
I just want to say, I feel like I sometimes come off like a really dark person, but I don't know. I feel like it's healthy to look to call a spade a spade.
I think the way that you describe it is really about mindset, and this is your mindset. And then if you separate yourself from that mindset, you can mm-hmm. see it for what it really is.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel this mm-hmm. and to go through it, mm-hmm. as long as it doesn't take it to that extreme dark place. And if you're journaling, you're up on top. You're looking down.
Well, the other thing is too is from my human experience, if I run from something, a feeling, mm-hmm. it's gonna come and get me the other way.
Right.
So if I just pretended that this was all fine and this is gonna work out, I'm positive someone's gonna come in and save us and whatever, and I didn't really hunker down and cry for a couple of days when mm-hmm. this first went down.
Yeah.
It comes back, and mm-hmm. sometimes physically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a real believer in that.
Wow.
I know people that have shoved it down for many years and then it popped up as a disease. So I'm just I'm not going there.
Yes. I have so many stories about that, but anyway, that's aside from going on a major tangent. But I have one light thing to say and one super dark thing to say.
Oh, great.
The light thing is that this is a super, super mild mild infection for 99% of people.
Yeah.
And it may be 99.999. We may have millions and millions of asymptomatic carriers who are just walking around spreading it like crazy with zero symptoms.
This is just reminding me, like,
What?
the other day I was sitting here and I was just like watching people because that's what I do now. And this man, he must have been, I don't know, like high 90s. He just looked across the street and it wasn't a walk light, and he just put his hands up and just started walking anyway. And I just, the feeling I got from him was just like, you know what, something's coming to get me anyway. So I'm just crossing the street and I'm just doing this. It like honestly made me laugh so hard because he was just like, I can't be scared of any more shit right now.
For sure, totally.
Like, the boogeyman's coming. This is coming. You know, like, who can be any more scared right now? You know, and he was just like, you know what? I'm just going to walk out into traffic, see how this goes. I'm going. They don't stop.
That's too funny.
You know, and he was fine.
Oh my gosh.
It was very comical.
Oh, that's so funny. And now, to take us to an extremely dark place, you think about how 9/11 impacted you. It had an impact on everybody, which is security checks at the airport. Think of that, and then times that by 1,000,000%, and that's how it's going to affect us moving forward. There could be multiple types of checks that we need to become comfortable with, and
that's the other thing I saw on Instagram the other day. This travel blogger's like, where do you want to go next when this is over? And I felt like writing, nobody's going anywhere.
Travel's dead.
You staying home.
The border's shut. Oh gosh.
Sorry. Anyway, continue.
Yeah,
it's gonna change.
It's
things.
right. Well, I mean,
you gotta laugh. I don't know.
You
what
have
to
to
do.
laugh. You have to laugh. It's definitely going to change things, and we have no way of predicting what it's going to be.
No.
But don't worry. It's probably not going to be people recommending you get a chip that's tracked. There will be probably a situation when there's this development with Apple and Google where they're working on tracking for people who have the infection. So
that's a hard conversation.
They implemented it in what was it, South Korea? Where did they implement that?
I don't know.
It worked like crazy.
I'm sure
it worked really well.
I'm sure it did.
Basically, I think the premise was that the people who they knew for sure had it, they tracked them, and they just tried to make sure they didn't get in contact with anybody else. And when they did, they followed those other people.
I saw a layout. I don't know what, but it was one of these types of situations, someone that was tracked, and they had like the layout of the restaurant of where the person sat, because they had the digital whatever, because where they were, whatever, and then who was affected around them, like who was sitting where and who was affected, and they could show the image.
Wow.
And that, I found that amazing.
Wow.
But like, I'm not ever gonna do a chip.
No, I totally get it. Please don't act like chips are new though. People who are acting like chips are new, chips are not new. People have been doing chips for a while. Just look it up. There's, I don't know, maybe a 10-year history of people injecting chips and using Bluetooth for many different types of things. Chips are not new. And then the second thing is, if there's freedom of choice, which we expect there will be for many things, including vaccination, people with negative responses to vaccines in the past are probably not going to want it for sure, which I totally get. We'll just be asked to test before going to old folks' homes, and then we have to find a way to figure out the severity or the risk with these comorbidities, and then we're going to protect people who are at risk. So the people who are most at risk with lung conditions, for example, that's like, so for elderly, and then lung conditions, I think, and then it's obesity and hypertension.
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be like, you're going to have to get if you want to go into an old folks home, there's going to be an antibody test. That's probably going to happen. So do you have it now? Yes or no? Or did you have it before, and are you protected? Yes or no? And hopefully it's a 5-minute test, and we can protect these big groups. We know there won't be large gatherings probably in our country until 2022.
You really think that, eh?
Yeah, I do think that. Unfortunately. Yes, I think the NBA, at least, I think they're going to play with no crowds. Just play for TV. Yeah, it's going to be very strange. It's going to be very strange. I don't know what it's going to be like. Yeah. But, I don't want to get into some
No,
stuff.
no,
I've
no.
got so much to say
Not
about
today.
it.
We have too much to say.
Yeah. Well, let me just make sure. I think we've been going on long enough for this one.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
Not today. I have lots to say, but
Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our viewpoint, our current situation, what we think about the last 5 weeks, and sort of what we think about the next few moving forward. And when we just ask everyone to stay safe, take it seriously. Don't let it significantly impact your mental well-being.
well, and from the standpoint of be super kind to yourself,
Totally.
and not in a careless way, like in an active.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself. 'cause
Watch out
that's-
with the drinking. Woo.
Woo. I've been doing a one-woman study to see if wine can cure the world problems, and so far,
How's it going? The numbers are down.
well, yeah.
There's some epidemiology. When Amy drinks wine, the coronavirus numbers come down. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. Cutting through the wine. That's all I have to say. Cutting through the wine. And you know what? I won't even take judgment on that.
No. What do you mean you won't take it? You're just letting it slide?
Oh no, I just won't receive it.
Oh, yes.
The other day I said I need another bottle of wine. I think you want to got contact with me, and I thought not today.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want to hear more from us, go to Instagram.com/DamieHealth or check us out on YouTube, YouTube.com/DamieHealth, DamieHealth. That's our website too, DamieHealth.com. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week.
See you.